Yeah, awesome.
Great. So it'll be fun.
Yes, sir.
Kick the show off, and we'll have a good time here.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the Zen Game Podcast, where we go inside the minds of college quarterbacks. I'm here with Behren Morton, coming off a really breakthrough season, per se. He went 5-2 as a starter leading into the bowl game. Describe kind of your growth as a football player from beginning to now. Where was the initial inspiration for you of, hey, this quarterback thing might be something for me?
Yeah, goes back a really long time. So my dad was actually a head football coach in Texas for 35 years. He just retired. So I was actually born in Lubbock. I was born watching Michael Crabtree and Graham Harrell and all the greats play at Tech and Mike Leach in that era. So I knew I wanted to go to Tech. And, growing up on the sidelines in the coach's office, you just have a bond with football that a lot of kids don't have. And so, to get this opportunity to play college football at the university that I love was a hands-down decision. I was going to Tech. And, it wasn't slow. I received my first offer at the end of my freshman year from Coach Kingsbury himself. And so, to get your first offer from a guy like Kliff Kingsbury is very respectable. And that's kind of when I was, deciding, am I going to play college baseball? Am I going to play college football? Am I going to go golf? What am I going to do? And, when Coach Kingsbury said that I was full ride scholarship to Texas Tech, it was just like, well, I know what I'm going to do now. And so, to get that honor from Coach Kingsbury and then receive some other offers from some schools that were awesome schools as well. But at the end of the day, I knew I was going to Tech. And once I got to Tech, went through a couple coaching changes with, Coach Wells and Coach Cumbie and that whole staff. And then finally Coach Kitley and Coach McGuire coming in. It's just, you can just tell the vibes of the team are different, and you can understand that, we got a head coach that we're going to love to play for on Saturdays, and we have a culture that, that no one can break. And so to have those two things, you got a good chance to be a good football team.
When you go back to your high school recruiting process, Coach McGuire recruited you while he was at Baylor, and now you get to play for him. You actually said in another interview that he actually said that I'm going to coach you one day. He got that right. Probably not the path that either of you guys thought that would happen. Right. Pretty cool thing. Was there a moment in his recruiting process that he almost moved you, where he almost convinced you to go to Baylor?
Yeah. The Baylor staff, which is at Texas Tech now, Kirk Bryant, James Blanchard, those guys have been at Baylor, and they were there when Joey wasn't a head coach. And then when Joey got the opportunity to become the head coach at Tech, he brought those guys with him. Josh Cochran, obviously our tight ends coach. And so, to have those guys in the facility, it's awesome, because they recruited you when you were a sophomore. So it's not like, a new staff is coming in. You got to understand, well, am I going to transfer somewhere because I don't know these coaches? I don't know if I'm going to be liked here. But when Coach McGuire took the job and I heard he was bringing, all his guys with him, it was a no-brainer for me to, stay at Tech. But in high school too, when Baylor was recruiting me, I love Baylor. Coach Rule too as well. They're great recruiters. Obviously, you've seen Coach McGuire and the way he recruits West Texas, and it's different out here. The way they recruit, it's different from a lot of other colleges and high schools. Coach Blanchard, he is our GM technically of the team, and so any kid that he wants to offer, he can offer right then and there. He doesn't have to go through position coaches to see who he wants to get on the team. He can just immediately say, we're going to offer this kid because I think you're talented. And, Coach McGuire takes his word for it. And, I feel like that's why we have some of the top recruiting classes out of every Big 12 conference this year. We're always top one or two. So the way that Coach McGuire structures, his staff, it's really cool.
Yeah, and you were actually a massive recruiting win for Texas Tech. I believe you were the highest rated quarterback to ever be recruited at Texas Tech.
Yeah, I actually was. I do think that recruiting and, the stars and the rankings, it means a lot. It does. But at the same time, when the lights come on, it's that player. It's not the player that can run a good combine 40 and, do the shuttle real good and catch a lot of balls. But, it's the guy that can just play ball. And, we have a lot of kids, that start for us right now that were 2-3 stars. Mason Tharp, obviously, he's 6'9", 270-pound tight end. You don't see those often, and he was a 3-star. And, just to recruit those kind of kids in West Texas, that's just a pat on the back to Coach McGuire and his staff for what they do to recruit the kids out here.
Yeah, it's kind of both, right? Because you got a kid you just brought in, we'll talk about, I'm sure, a little bit in the interview, and Micah Hudson, that was the highest rated recruit Texas Tech's ever had. And I'm sure that he gets on the field and it's something that everybody sees, and you're grateful to have him. But then on the other side of it, it's getting guys too where you use your own evaluations, where maybe you see something that as a staff that no one else is able to see. You nurture that, and you got an excellent player on the other side of it.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, going back to Micah, I mean, the skill set that he has, I mean, he can be the greatest of all time. And I really do believe that just because of the mindset he has. I mean, he has all the physical attributes that you need in a receiver, but, the mentality that he has as a freshman, a lot of kids don't have. It's just the maturity that he has is on another level. And, if he, obviously he's a freshman, he's going to have mistakes. This is a complex offense. It's not just going to be you hop in it and you know exactly what you're doing. But, he's taking it day by day, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, you're a freshman, you come in, you wear number 1.
Yeah.
There is a lot of confidence that comes with that. And it's kind of one of those things that's almost got to be earned through who you are for the coaching staff to be able to say, hey, you can go put this number on second you're showing up on campus.
Right, yeah. I mean, the amount of pressure that he has being the first Texas Tech 5-star, to come through Tech is there's a lot of pressure regardless, just because, in West Texas, there's not much else but Texas Tech. And, you go over to the DFW side, you got TCU, but you also have the Dallas Cowboys. And, out here in West Texas, Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, all these big cities out here, there's no pro teams. And so, everyone's going to come to the Jones on Saturday, and they're going to sell it out 65,000 every time. And so, to be Micah's position, there's a lot of eyes on him too, but that's part of being in the position he is, that he's really good at handling that kind of stuff. And, he can take that stuff and be very mindful of it.
It's cool to have a player that could have chosen any university he wanted in the entire country. Not only chosen any university, could have gone to any university and gotten an excellent NIL package, but wants to be playing with you in Lubbock. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is. That's going back to James Blanchard and what he does. They started recruiting Micah really his 8th grade year, freshman year. And so building that relationship, for 4 years is going to build up over time, rather than, a Clemson or a Bama that's going to recruit him his junior year when he's actually, showing stuff on tape. So to find those kids that early, and watch them develop and have that relationship, it's going to give you the upper hand for sure against, Bama and Georgia and all those other schools.
Well, for the right people,
yeah,
they will. For the kind of person that understands that they value, and he values the fact that
right.
a relationship was built over time. And you can probably see there's so many kids that do get promised something last minute by a school who say, hey, we're going to go take you because I see you get all these accolades in the media and anyone can figure out you're a great player. But who's to say that player then never plays? Because maybe a coaching staff feels like 2 new transfers come in and they feel like they want to play them. When you have a deeper relationship, I think there's probably a better chance that you have an understanding of where you fit into a picture, and it's a school that understood why you were valuable there.
Exactly.
Before media and boosters were telling a coach, hey, you need to go get this guy. The coaching staff knew they wanted him without all that extra pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right on for sure.
It's a very, very cool thing. And then we talked about on the other side, you got a bunch of guys that maybe don't have that hype. Who are some of the other receivers this year that have come in that people can be really excited about? Because you brought in a few transfers. You got a few people who were on the roster last year that look like they're starting to show out in some of these fall scrimmages, practices that maybe people didn't see put up stats last season but are going to be impact guys this year for the Ray Raiders.
Right, yeah. Man, we have so many weapons on offense. But first, Josh Kelly, he's a vet. He started his career at Fresno State, balled out at Fresno, went to Washington State, balled out there. Washington State's really not in a conference right now, so he decided to come play Big 12 football. Same offensive scheme that Washington State runs. Coach Kitley's actually his assistant at Western Kentucky, got the OC job at Washington State. And so Josh was really familiar with the offense, the same offense. So to have him coming in the spring, he was, day one, he already knew what day one was just because he was already in that offense. So he's technically a vet in the room. And, Caleb Douglas from Florida, he's originally from Houston, went to Florida at high school, played some good games at Florida, broke his ankle, kind of went a different direction, came to Tech. He's had a great spring and fall. And so, just to get those 2 guys out there, Josh will be playing in the slot. CD playing outside, and you're also bringing back Coy Aiken. Coy's actually from right around my hometown, Stephenville, Texas, and we've been knowing each other since 5th grade. And he was actually a quarterback. We went to a lot of aired out passing academies together, and I always thought he was going to be a quarterback. And then they had a good quarterback at Stephenville. He played outside receiver, and lit it up. And just his senior year, had a great senior year, got offered by a lot of P5s. I finally got in his ear and was telling him to come to Tech. And then from then on, that dude knows how to work. That dude knows how to put his head down and work. He doesn't get a lot of credit, outside of football, but he's just a solid dude that just, does his job and understands how to play football. And so to have, that core out there, that starting core is awesome. And then obviously the tight end room, that goes deeper than all the other rooms. Mason Tharp is coming back for his senior year. Me and him have been best friends since I got to college. He was my roommate when we first got here. And, 6'9", 270, you don't see that too often. And the way he can move is really special. And then Jalen Conyers is actually from West Texas as well. He's from Groover up in the Panhandle. He actually had a little journey going to college. He went to Oklahoma out of high school. Highly recruited kid. And then he transferred to Arizona State, had a good career there. Now he's coming back to Tech to finish off his career, and man, that dude is special. Just the way he can move with the ball in his hands. A lot of guys can't do that. And John Carlos, he's also a tight end coming from Elon. Pretty sure he led the nation last year in yards after reception with like 22. And so, that tight end room is just, filthy. We'll be in some heavy personnel, but if you go heavy personnel, you're taking off one of Coy, CD, or Kells. So it's, we have so many weapons, that, we can run the ball with Taj too. We have the best running back in the nation. So, he's going to break the all-time leading rusher at Texas Tech. And I firmly believe that. And, to come back from the year that he had last year, it's going to be really fun to watch.
It's pretty unselfish when you think about it for him to come back in a lot of ways, because he plays in an offense that does put up a lot of stats, but it's not necessarily an offense that's built around the running back.
Right. Yeah. And he fully embodies, being a captain on the team. There's 5 captains on the team, and he's one of them. And then, that's his dedication to, the way he has a voice on the team. We're in an air raid offense, and, he's a great running back, and so, that opens it up for us too. If they want to put 3 safeties back there and 5 linebackers and want to leave the box slide, we can hand the ball to 2-8, and he's going to get 7 or 8 yards every time. And then you want to load the box, we got Josh Kelly and CD and Coy out there that are going to run by you. So, the offensive scheme that Coach Kitley has, it's set up perfect for us. And, we have so many explosive targets to move. It's going to be really fun this year.
I felt like the Cal game was the first game that we really saw Coach Kitley's offense at Texas Tech. It felt like all the other games I watched up to that, doesn't mean that there weren't great performances. You had a number of outstanding performances last year in your stretch of going 5-2. But it felt like that was the first game where that offense was fully dialed in.
Yeah, it was for sure. It was tough last year, like I said, not practicing throughout the week. You're prepping to play TCU, and you're not getting any reps with any of your ones. I'm out there in just shorts and T-shirt while they're practicing. And then on Saturday, you get a shot in the arm, and then it's just like, all right, go win a game. And so, we finally got that month of, to prep for Cal, and I got some time off, which was really nice. Got almost really a whole month of recovery before that game. And so that was the best I felt all year. And the way that we just attacked them through the air, and Taj doing his thing up front too, that's what you're going to expect this year from Tech.
What was the worst week with the shoulder last year where people wouldn't know, like, holy crap, I can't believe I played through this thing?
No, that was really how it was every week. Because we had to bounce back quick after West Virginia with Houston, and that was Donovan Smith's team. And so I knew Donovan coming into Lubbock, he was going to be hot. He wanted to win in Lubbock, and so I kind of had to just grit my teeth and just say, what, like, the rest of this year is going to be pretty hard on me, but we got to make it to a bowl game. Starting out 1-3, you're not in a good position, but at the same time you got to bounce back and you got to win some games and you got to make it to a bowl game. And so to keep the winning streak alive, to go with a winning record and a positive, that's really what I was most proud of this last year.
Yeah, it's interesting. Energetically, shoulders are where people carry weight of others, weight of a team. I do wonder to a degree that once you got through the season, you're 6-6, you're in the bowl game, you get a fresh start, you're just competing for Cal. If even energetically some of that weight kind of came off your shoulders, and that was one of the things that also really helped you prepare. That's like, all right, now I know who my bowl opponent is. Now I just have this final exam, and I get to show what I'm capable of.
Yes, exactly. And, that was really the mindset of, that whole team. We were graduating quite a few guys up front. We knew some guys were going to hit the portal after the year. So, we kind of knew going into it that, we're gonna come out guns blazing, and we're gonna throw the ball around, and we're gonna show the people what Texas Tech offense is about. The last year wasn't exactly what we wanted to do on offense, but once we had some time to recover and stuff like that, got some guys back, we kind of just said, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna sling it around, and we're gonna win the game, and that's what we did.
Where was the moment where you knew you figured it out to a degree, where you felt like, I finally got this?
I really think that was, I'd have to say towards the end of the year, once we went pretty hot, with a bum shoulder and not practicing, and you're still winning games. That's just to testify to Coach Kitley. The way he schemed up the defenses to get Taj the ball and get some quick passes here and there, and nothing really deep. That's just to testify to Coach Kitley and what he does offensively and his scheme. But after, winning some games here and there, you kind of figure out, man, this is really going to work. And, it's going to be really scary when we're all healthy. And so, everyone's healthy. We got 100% on the roster. So, it's going to be really fun week 1.
You have one of the most innovative offensive coordinators in the country. Started Texas Tech as a grad assistant, but then went to Houston Baptist and really invented his own offense there. Bailey Zappi ends up getting to follow him, get all the way to the NFL from Houston Baptist through Western Kentucky. No one would have ever seen that coming, but he was that effective. That was able to be the case, and then brings that offense to Texas Tech. What are the differences between, say, Coach Kitley's offense and maybe the air raid as run by other teams? Yeah,
I think, the way Coach Kitley schemes up people, using our weapons, last year, using Mason in the red zone, 6'9", that's hard to cover, and also getting in the heavy personnel and running the ball and understanding, how we're going to move the line to block this front. And, Coach Cochran, too, he does a great job. He was actually played O-line at Texas, our tight ends coach, and so he's played some big-time O-line positions. So, our tight ends are really good at blocking, too. And I think that's what makes us so versatile on offense, having that run game that you can lean on Taj when you need him, but you can also have those tight ends protection. I can leave Mason out there at, on the left side on the line and, be comfortable with him pass proing. And so, to have that, Coach Kitley is really good at what he does with scheme. And, it's just really cool to see week to week, what we're going to do to attack East defense.
And the tight ends create a little bit more of a wild card element versus being necessarily 4 wide, spread out every single play.
Yeah, exactly. Putting them in, running through like pop passes and stuff like that. They're in the RPO games, coming from the line of the scrimmage, not being spread out, being from the line and running, RPOs with them. A lot of people can't do that just because, they don't have the athletes that can, protect like that and also get in the flats and that can catch the ball and get upfield.
What's your favorite play? You've had some creative plays. What's your favorite play you guys have brought?
Man, we have some good plays. I'd have to say, let's see. It has to be some of our double post with, we got a wheel backside underneath of it, maybe a drag coming backside. I also like all of our 90 series. We call our 90 series vertical game. So anytime we call 90, that gets my heart pumping. So we're throwing verticals and I love it. So, any 90 series or some double posts with some wheels behind it, I like that too.
I'm sure there's going to be a big smile on your face the first time Mike is in that huddle and you're going vertical to him.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have a lot of excitement for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies to the position, but that's one part of his game that gets to be taken advantage of immediately is he's going to be able to run straight by people.
Right
out of the gates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just for everyone too. I feel confident about, the kid from Elon, throwing him a flat route, for him averaging 22 yards after catch. A lot of guys can't do that. So it's going to be really fun.
Through this run, you've had a lot of ups, and it's been a lot of ups and downs. I have to imagine, was the high school run all just ups? I mean, you get yourself to a point where I believe he was number 11 quarterback in the country by 24/7 Sports, which is absolutely ludicrous when you think about it. There's so many people. One of the hardest places in the world to play high school football. And you played high school football in maybe the hardest state in the country to play high school football, definitely from a fan interest perspective. Were there any downs in that process, or was it mainly a straight line up from that freshman year, just getting an offer and kind of knowing that people are going to want you to play at a D1 Power 5 school?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I graduated with 74 kids, and so went to a really small school. I live on 100 acres back home. We got 4 fishing tanks. We got 6 donkeys that they're on the land too. And so, all the high school experience was really fun for me. I mean, it was, I played 5 sports too, so I was always busy.
What?
And
how do you play 5 sports?
I mean, I played obviously football, and then we would go straight into basketball. You go to baseball, and then you run track, obviously, because my dad made me run track. And then I played golf too.
That's silly though, because you can't practice 5 sports. You're just going out there
play.
and you're just going.
Yeah. One day I actually had, it was basketball tournament in the morning, baseball game in the middle of the day, and a track meet that night. So we had 3 events in one day, and that was just like, wow, we're playing every sport right now. So, yeah, I mean, I loved the high school experience. It was awesome, and my senior year, that was kind of when we just lit it up. We had a bigger class my senior year. A lot of guys played ball, and we just we ran the same offense that I run here at Tech, and so to have that same knowledge that I had in high school, rather than I have right now, it's just kind of been in this offense for a while, and it's been really fun.
Were there any of your high school teammates that are playing in D1 now?
No, there's not. We had a running back that played Division II, but he's not playing anymore. But a lot of the kids are just redneck kids, raised the right way. They're not very big. I think the biggest O-lineman I had my senior year be Corbin Branch, and he was probably about 5'10", 185 pounds. And that's why I'm starting left tackle. And, that's just not how it is in, high school ball. But, we had to work with what we had. And so we had a lot of speed outside. And so it was a lot of quick game. There was a lot of drop back for me. If no one's open, I just run around until, they try to catch me. And so high school was really fun, though. I mean, it was a blast.
How'd you get recognized as a player who's playing in this small town? I know high school football is massive in Texas, but you have a lot of players that will make the excuse in their process that, hey, I played amazing, but I couldn't get recognized. How did you get recognized coming from a small place? Yeah,
that's a good point. I get that question quite a bit just from kids in my area that, want to play college football, but, it's hard to get the recognition. For me, it was, I didn't send out anything. I didn't want to bother coaches and stuff like that. But each summer, there are these mini camps that colleges host. And, I'd go to every single P5, wasn't P5, I'd go to SFA. I'd go everywhere for a mini camp. And it's like a 4-hour, 150 kids are there. And just kind of just showcase what you have. And so, obviously my tape was good. There was a lot of guys that, liked me for my tape. But, once you see me in person and, the only good thing I kind of have right now is just this right arm. And so I would get out there to camps and I would just be able to sling it. And, that's kind of how I got recognized, is just, going in front of them and doing it, rather than, oh, he's playing small ball, he can't do that. But, in person, it was like, man, this guy can actually sling it.
All right, so before the interview, I was telling you I was looking up nicknames for fun. The Lone Star Launcher, at that point at least, could have been very accurate. For a nickname back in high school. You're going out there and just throwing the ball, and it went far, and people noticed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's exactly how it was, and it really started all the way back to where my dad was, being the head coach, and I was a ball boy at every game. And so every day after school, I'd go to practice. And, I actually can kick really well too. But also, just throwing the ball all the time. And I didn't get sick of it just because, it was just part of me. Football is part of me. And so, it was really cool.
If you needed to, could you kick in a game?
Oh, yeah. I could hit a 55 right now.
Dang.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of me that just wanted to say, man, you could go to college, you could just kick. Because, I I can actually kick the ball a lot better, I think, than I can throw the ball. So, but no, there might be some quick kicks this year. We got something a little rolling in there, so we'll see what happens with that.
That's fire. So, hey, for an NFL roster, you bring multiple things to the table.
Yeah.
And possibly even now, they definitely would not want to have you on kickoffs. No one wants to have their quarterback get hurt. But it is a nice thing for an NFL roster when you are in the mix for that in a few years, where you're manifesting beautiful things, is you can say, hey, if it's happened to teams before, if your kicker gets hurt, I'm someone that can come in the game and make an extra point. I can make a field goal.
Yeah, for sure. I think, my senior year, I had one that got blocked, but I didn't miss any my senior year, and we scored 60 points a game. And we didn't kick field goals much because we scored a lot of times, but the extra points were solid.
I was going to say, if you were kicking and playing quarterback, your actual points scored that season must have been outrageous.
Yeah, it probably was.
You would have been an epic fantasy football player if they actually gave you credit for both field goals and touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
What would you think your favorite memory of high school was?
I mean, that's a good one. There's a lot. I probably have to say my senior year, week 2, we got beat by a team that was really good. Powerhouse Holiday, Texas. They're a good football team, always have been. They run the wing tee, kind of shoved it down our throat, and we couldn't take it. Got beat by them, and then we saw them in the 4th round of the playoffs later that year. And, it was a highly anticipated match. Played at a big stadium, sold it out. There was probably 15 to 20,000 people there. It was a big crowd. And then we went out there and, we just got on them. We got on them really good. And then they bounced back. And then there was about 15 seconds left. We're down 3. I drop back, look left, nothing. I see I got a free rusher coming to my right, but, he doesn't think I can see him as my eyes are left. And at the last second, I see him coming. He's running full speed, about to clean me. I just spin out of it, and he comes and just whiffs. There's no one to the right anymore, and so I take off. We scored a touchdown, win the game. That was really cool. You're a senior in high school. You're kind of the talk of the town. The team is, and so to win that game and then to keep moving your team forward, that was really special.
Are there people back home still talking about that game that season?
Yeah, there probably is, either that or I had some field goal game winners too, and those were really fun. I think those are even more fun than winning the game, running the ball in, because your heart is pounding when you go out there to kick that game-winning field goal. It's something different.
How do you do that? Like you're playing quarterback, you get to 4th down. Most of the time, kickers are on the sidelines warming up, kind of hitting the net. Mm-hmm. Do they call timeout and do you take a few warm-ups? Or are you just kind of cold, coming in there and launching it?
We were so poor back in Easton, we didn't have a field goal net on the side. We weren't big time like the 6A's.
It didn't matter.
No.
So we wouldn't have been able to be warming up with that. In the first place,
exactly.
It's almost better.
Exactly. You just roll right into
up.
it. Yeah.
Was there a lot of players even being swithed out from offense to special teams,
no.
or was it just everyone kind of stayed out there?
Everyone played both ways, and so I played both ways too. I played like on first, second down. I'd play corner or safety. If they had a good receiver, I'd just man him up, play corner. And then on third downs, third and longs, we had a dime package where I played defensive end, and I ran like the edge rusher. And if they had their worst tackle, I'd line up over him, and I'd just run really fast around him. Just kind of create some chaos by the quarterback. And so, every single guy had to play both ways, or we don't have enough guys. We got 30 players on the team. Everyone's playing both ways.
That's outrageous that you guys made it as far as you did in playoffs with 30 players.
Right. Yeah. No, we always would, in our preseason, we always got mad at my dad, but we'd always play teams that had 200 kids, on their team. And it was just like, man, why do we got to play Monahans? Why do we got to play Alito? Why do we got to play all these big teams, And, that's what prepared us for district. And, I look back at it now and it's just like, yeah, I understand why you did it. But at the same time, we want to win those games too. So it was really good to, in your non-season, same thing, really with us, going week 2 to Wazoo. They're going to retire Mike Leach's name in the building. It's going to be a night game, all white. So that game's going to be really fun too. So, those non-conference, non-district games, those are the games that get you prepared for, later down the road.
They absolutely do. And that's going to be a great simulated environment for what you're going to be dealing with in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Arizona, I heard their place is electric. Obviously TCU has a great crowd. Oklahoma State, their stands are right there. I mean, you're sitting on the bench like this, and you can look up, and they had those paddles, and they can barely reach you with them. So those environments those are the ones that the games are fun because you got people that don't like you, but you come off from throwing a touchdown pass or something, and it's like you kind of feel something. So it's good.
Yeah, Arizona's going to be a fun matchup for us because it's going to be a matchup of guests on this show.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We had Noah on here.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I saw that.
Back.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Noah's awesome. I mean, what they have rolling at Arizona is something special for sure. And hopefully it's going to be both teams 5-0 rolling into week 6, and get to go to Tucson. It's going to be really cool.
One thing that you and Noah actually both have in common is faith is a major part of your life. What moment of your football career do you feel like you needed to lean on your faith the most?
Yeah, I mean, all the way going back to high school, I went to the camp I called Aired Out. Those guys that Aired Out, are very religious, and they understand, football is not your identity in your life. Christ is. And, that's what really made me understand, there's a guy that's on their staff, Cody Hodges, actually played at Tech, was a quarterback at Tech. He's from Hereford, one of my good friends, mentors. And, from a young age, he embodied me, football isn't going to be your life. Football isn't going to be who you are the rest of your life. Even for Tom Brady that played, obviously for a long time in the NFL, but, football is going to end for everyone. And you can't base your life on what your identity is in football because at the end of the day, it's going to be over at some point, even for everyone. And, what doesn't ever go away is your love for Christ. And, I think that's kind of what I have to base, bad days on. This isn't in the world. This isn't what you're going to be for the rest of your life. You don't win a game. You don't play good. At the end of the day, that doesn't matter, what your identity in Christ does. And so I think, just a big props to, Cody and the Aired Out staff for, embodying me for who I am on the field, but who I am off the field for sure.
It's an important thing because there is so much to this whole journey apart from football, but that can be tough to know sometimes when most of the feedback that you're getting is about your last game. Like you said, where you're living, this is the most important thing to your entire surrounding metropolitan area. I just got off the plane here this morning, and Texas Tech is everywhere.
Yeah.
The second that you get off, the football team's the biggest thing. And so you could have everything else going on in your life, but all people are going to remember is what happened this past Saturday.
Exactly. And that's a good point. I mean, a lot of people understand, what's going on in the game, but they don't know what's going outside the game too. And so there's a lot of guys, on the team too, like there's a lot of – Coach McGuire puts it in a good perspective of, once you enter the white lines, whatever's going on outside of your life is out of your life. Once you step inside those white lines, it's ball. And I feel like, whether, something's not going good at home, something's shaking up that you're not feeling good about, just to process, once you step inside those white lines, it's just time to play ball. And it's just the game you played since you're little. It's a game you love.
And it's actually a way to escape some of those challenges and maybe even overcome them, take lessons from what you're experiencing on the field with your teammates, and maybe even bring them back to some of those challenges. For sure.
And I think the other part of that is, the mental part of, the game. A lot of people, have feelings too. And, there's a lot of, social media is not a good place to be. I really do believe that. But at the same time, to understand, like the mental awareness and the health that student athletes, because, whatever we do right now is ball, and ball is ball. And so ball is 24/7. Ball, you wake up tomorrow and I got to be up at 5 a.m., thinking about ball until, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And so that's just, when you have your time off, just to really understand, take care of yourself too, because, I've seen some guys throughout my years in college just trying to buy in too much of ball and just understanding, and like I said before, like take some time off by yourself and just understand, like you're going to be all right, but like take some time off for sure. I think mental health is a big thing in college football.
It's huge. You talk about social media. It's interesting. One thing that my team and I talks about a lot, and we try to be very mindful of, is I worked in sports media before I did this podcast, and one of the things we were excited about as we started doing these athlete interviews is there's such an opportunity to put positivity out in those places and talk about the bright parts of sports, because there's so much positivity happening on the field, whether a team wins or loses, in the lives of all these student athletes. And I just think it's a really important thing to put positivity out there, because there is things going on in your lives that's not what's happening on that football field. But fans are really harsh to a bunch of college kids. They're people that are grown men, grown women that are putting a lot of weight on college kids in a way that I get that they go out and support and provide all this prosperity by watching, buying merchandise, buying tickets, etc. But at the same time, there's still a level of respect you want to treat human beings with. And anybody who's going out in the field and having a tough day, they're still human beings, and it can be rough sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I can, say to anyone listening to this podcast, if you're a college football player, if you're not, I think that, mental health is a real thing. And I think, whatever people do put out on social media, that's not, your identity is not in social media, obviously. And this is going back to what I said, your identity is in Christ. And like anything that social media has to say is not your identity. And I feel like a lot of guys are going to base, their performance off social media. So say I have 4 touchdowns, I'm getting a lot of praise. Yeah, it's good. But then next week I throw 3 interceptions when we lose a game. It's just like, you're the worst quarterback to ever play at Tech. And so not to, when the high is high, ride the high. But when the low is low, you just know that your identity is not in, what other people are saying on social media, and your identity is in Christ.
One of the things that's challenging for some of the people on social media is they just view the players as people on a screen.
Right.
It's like that someone's in a video game, and it's as simple as, with all the fans that now play NCAA football, when you're playing NCAA football and your quarterback's struggling, it's easy to go hit start and then go to depth chart and just put the other guy in, and there's no emotions, there's no feelings, and you'll see what happens. But in your game, it's a real person.
Right.
And, when Tyler gets hurt and you're coming in, that's a real person. Everyone's down on the ground, and this person's whole future is now affected because they just got a very serious injury. And I think that you're a real person that's not just like a computer screen. They've been preparing the whole offense for Tyler the whole season, and you're down 1-3, 1-4, and you're trying to figure out, how am I going to lead this team back? Right. And so it's a lot harder than I think that the fans make it out to be. There's a lot more factors. And you can probably attest to the fact that the guys in the locker room, they read the stuff that people are posting and tagging them in. Right, yeah. And I mean, people do, and some guys do a really good job, when it's in season, you're staying off social media, which I tend to do. I try to stay away from, if we have a good game against ACU, it's all right, good, we won, or bad, we lost. We got to understand, what's next. And that's going back to Coach McGuire and what he says, the 1-0 process, we win a big game, all right, we got to keep winning. We're not worried that we beat Cincinnati at home, all right, well, next week we got to go here, next week we got to go there. So, just taking that 1-0 mentality mindset of just understanding, like win or loss, you can't stay on the mat if you get beat down. If you stay on the mat, people are going to start rolling over you, and you start stacking up losses. And so, what this team has, in mind, whatever happens this year, we're going to have that 1-0 mindset. You were 5-1, like despite all the crazy circumstances you had, in what was definitely not the best expression of yourself. Like I said, your shoulder was hurt the entire time. You go 5-1, and then you go play Texas, and they're really good. Mm-hmm. And you guys took a beating in Austin. Mm-hmm. What was the worst message that you remember getting back from somebody on social media following that? Man, I've over the years of just, in high school too, I actually have a taping on my door back home. There used to be an app on Friday Night Lights, they call it, Texas high school football, that you can have a chat for every game. So every game has a little side box with the chat. And before every game, I would scroll, and there would just be like, there's no way he's Division I level. His dad's just making him a Division I level kid because he knows people. And so at the same time, when I was young, I was like, man, like, what if these people are right? What if I can't go out there in college level and produce? And so, going from high school to the college level, people are going to talk regardless. I mean, you can play Little League Baseball right now. I see that's going on. And I see some stuff on Twitter, like a kid striking out. It's just like, well, this kid's supposed to be the best kid on the team, and I don't know why he's striking out. I don't think he'll ever play college baseball. And it's just like,
that kind of stuff that you read on social media. I mean, it's hard to not read for sure because you want to read it. But at the same time, when I started reading that in high school, I just kind of taped that up on my door and just said, this is kind of fueled the fire. Watch what I'm about to do Friday night. And then, college level now, watch what I'm about to do Saturday. I should have been the starter since day one. You got to have that mindset of just, being the best you can. And, I mean, I don't mind when people, I get texts from the EA sports game. I get texts from people saying, you're terrible at football. I can't believe you're in the game. And it's just like, that's good. Think that. Like, it's fine. But, like, watch what happens, August 31st. And so, no, I love it. I think it's good.
What was your biggest lesson? So it's good you were able to tune out most of what came after that start. What was your biggest lesson from that game? Because I have to imagine that was actually an awesome benchmark to get to see, all right, this is what a team at the college football playoff level looks like. And it's not about you as an individual. That's where you're at as a team.
Right.
And so it's like, all right, that's where this team is. Here's where we are right now. We're still very early in our journey. Coach McGuire is still very early in his journey. And now we see the separation between our team and that team.
Yeah.
What was your biggest lesson coming out of that game in terms of what it was going to take for you to be able to bridge that gap? 'Cause you're out talking about going to Arlington, winning the Big 12. That would get you in a spot in the college football playoff. What are the things that you feel like you learned were the things that you guys could improve on as a collective the most that could get you closer to that?
Yeah, I think, going in that locker room after, there was a lot of defeat. But we have the 24-hour rule. Whatever happens 24 hours, you win or lose, it's what's next. And so, going back and, like, studying that film and tape of just knowing, like, it really wasn't a game of just, like, we could have done that much better because, they had us for sure. And so it was kind of more of a deeper dive into team, like, what do we need to do for the team? And, the way that they played the game was awesome. I mean, the depth they had, and we were really banged up. Our third-round draft pick that plays for the Arizona Cardinals, safety, Rabbit. I mean, he's balling in the NFL. He didn't play. We have a guy playing for the Bears right now, D lineman. He didn't play. We were banged up pretty good, but at the same time, it was a good reality check because we were on such a hot streak of just knowing, like, all right, we beat UCF, we beat TCU, we were winning, and then all of a sudden it was like, bang, in the season, you ended your season terrible. And so it was like, all right, let's regroup, let's load back in. We got Cal coming up. Cal's a good opponent. They won some big games this last year. They obviously have one of the best running backs, Ott. He's a dog. And so we were like, all right, we're gonna stop the run and we're gonna put up a lot of points. And it kind of made me nervous. They scored. We were getting the ball first, received. Dre McCray's running back, gets punched out, ball fumbles. They get the ball in like the 15. They run a play action pass, throw it over the middle, touchdown. It's 7-0 like that. And we were like, we're good. All right, we've been in this position. Texas jumped on us early. All right, so what are we going to do differently now? And, that was kind of the mindset that we had of, no matter what adversity we're going to see right here, we could be down 14-0. We could be down, 21 at half. But, the mindset that we have from the Texas game to where we were at in the Cal game, that's the way we battle up. We got a turnover on defense. We scored back-to-back possessions. We were starting to roll, and then we just carried that momentum, and then, at the end of the game, we came out victorious.
Both teams were playing a pretty solid allotment of their players. So unlike some of the bowl games that season,
right,
this was a real football game in which both of these teams have returning head coaches with something to prove, really wanting to take a step in that next season.
Yeah, for sure. They had, Ott was kind of deciding, do I go to the NFL? Do I come back? Like 2 or 3 days before the game, we were all looking to see if he was going to play. Obviously, he was like, yeah, I'm staying. I'm going to be playing the bowl game. So we were like, man, that's awesome. Like, we're going to have, like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be electric. We were actually staying in Louisiana and Shreveport. And so we got to – Coach McGuire does a good job of letting us have some fun. We went to the casino, enjoyed that.
Any big winners at the casino?
No, we actually had a couple guys win. I did not win. That was actually my second time at the casino, and I got to get better at that. But it was awesome, to get Ott to play that game. And the whole Cal, they didn't have anyone opting out and stuff like that. So it was just it felt like a really like a regular season game. It wasn't anything else like that, and it was a really good game.
Is it something to think about that you hope to get Texas again in your
for
college
sure,
career?
For sure, no doubt. I have a special heart in my heart for Texas. being Texas Tech, you always want to beat Texas. And, I got a bad taste in my mouth. So hopefully down the road, we see each other again.
And then just to a few kind of more fun questions. Number 2, what was kind of the impetus? Have you been number 2 your whole career, and what was the impetus for number 2 for you?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny story. So in high school, I wore 8. I was always number 8. I thought 8 was just a good number. Not a lot of quarterbacks are number 8. I don't like being, the typical quarterback number. So I was like, I want to be something different, 8. And got to college. Actually, Maverick McIver was number 8 at the time, so I had to pick a different number. And so I was like, man, what quarterbacks do I really like? Who played in college really well that I liked? And I kind of cut it down to 2. It was either Baker or it was Johnny Manziel. And I love the way that Johnny played college football. And, the stuff that he did outside of college football is a little different. But the way that, when he stepped in, like Coach McGuire says, when you step in between those white lines, you play ball. And the way that he played the game, so competitive, like fearless, whoever's out there beating Bama at Bama with Nick Saban, like a lot of guys can't do that. And so, to wear that number 2, I just kind of want to represent my game the same way. It doesn't matter who we're about to play. I'm going to go out there and do my thing and ball.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm big into number meetings. Number 8 is like all about success, abundance, etc. Number 2 is all about kind of bringing people and things together and connection. And man, Manziel was great at that.
Yeah,
when
he
played.
was.
I noticed the celebration. You do the dollar sign, the money thing too. That is inspired by.
That is.
I was going to ask if the number 2 had any Manziel inspiration. I guess the answer was answered for me.
Yeah.
I felt like you were doing that more down the stretch of last year.
Yeah. Once some confidence was rolling around, we were winning some games. I was like, Taj obviously is Brooks' time. He has the watch. So I was like, what? I need to bring something too. And so I was like, man, I'm number 2. That ball is money. If I throw it money, it's money. So I really do like that saying a lot.
The other fun facts, I do numerology.
Mm-hmm.
Did it for Noah, that he was a 4 life path. You're a 6 life path, which means that you're all about really helping mentor and nurture others. That's a big part of your path here. So I have to imagine that sitting on the bench was a extreme challenge for you as someone that wants to be out there helping your team, helping people get better. What's your favorite memory so far of your run at Texas Tech, of you helping another teammate get better and improve?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It was really tough, sitting on the bench and, watching Tyler lead. He did a great job, but it just wasn't the way that, I wanted it to be. And so, there's actually, I have to say this last semester, of being the guy, towards the end of the stretch when we're winning a lot. And, just to understand, like the offense is going to, Coach Kitley says this all the time, the offense is going to go as we go. Okay, so like if the quarterback's playing good, the team's going to be playing good. Quarterback's not happy, everyone's not happy. And so to have that mentality of, I'm a captain on the team, I wear the C on my chest. I can't think of a specific memory of a time where I was just like, this is where I need to be a leader. But when Micah obviously got here, me and him did a lot of things one-on-one. Another guy on our team, Will Hammond, he's a younger quarterback from Hutto that we just got. And I had some help, when I first got to college, but, those guys were vets. And so I picked up things from Tyler and Donovan, Henry Columbia, all those guys, learning some things here and there. But, to really take a toll on, those younger guys, because once you're gone, they're going to run the program the same way you're going to be running the program. And so I thought it was really cool just to see, the way Micah is handling all this situation, and then Will Hammond too. The way he understands, the ins and outs of the game, but me also just helping him, off the field, like how to prepare. We got classes coming up. When I first got here, no one told me anything how to prepare for classes. You actually do have to like sit down and understand. All right, I got to be here to like this day, this time, this day, this time, and just to help those guys, those young guys, because when you get thrown in the fire in college, it's a lot different than high school. You don't have anyone holding your hand. You don't go home to mom and dad. You go home to an apartment that's by yourself with your roommates. And so if you don't handle your business, business will handle it for yourself. And so, to jump on that early, I think that's a big thing that I've done this year.
Is it helping you be a better player because you feel more in alignment with yourself in that mentorship role versus, because that's what you were the leader of your teams all throughout high school, get coached by your father, et cetera. You get here and you're kind of on the bench for a bit, then you kind of come in. Is this role, kind of being a leader, also helping you perform better on the field because you just feel more within yourself?
Yes, yeah, you feel much more confident too. And just to have that confidence, that you're preaching good stuff into these younger kids, and not even the younger kids too, like transfers, like, getting to know Josh Kelly, getting to know CD, getting to know the new O-lineman, those bonds, when you're on the field, when it's fourth quarter and you actually need a big play, you can rely on that guy to make a big play. And I think that's a really big key.
Yeah, it's as I get to my final question, it's funny. I realized I've asked pretty much no questions about Coach McGuire this entire time. But what's so cool is that I don't really need to.
Right.
He's so infused within everything you say that someone listening to this interview could really understand how special of a human being he is as a coach just by you talking. I think it's cool that I didn't have to. I don't have any specifically I'm going to ask.
There's really nothing to say about Coach McGuire but great things. I mean, the guy, like, every single morning, like, even on our off days in fall camp when it's practice 17 and people are getting tired, I mean, Coach McGuire is the same coach every single day. Like, I mean, I think he has to be on something every day to be that energetic and that hyped to be at football practice every single day. And that, I mean, you see your head coach doing that, you're obviously going to bring up the energy and the tempo too. So I think he does a great job of just reaching everyone on the team.
Yeah, I've gotten to watch some of his content. Can never remotely be the same thing as being in the locker room or having him coach you, but you can kind of tell it's something. I see it for every football team in the country, and you can kind of see that with him it's something different from a 10,000-foot view. His energy level is outrageous, and the way he delivers words is extraordinarily special. The way he was able to get everybody pumped up for that Cal game, you felt like it was the Super Bowl and it wasn't forced. It was just like he understood why that game was going to make this team better on its journey to be a team that can be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that goes back to, his days at Cedar Hill, coaching high school football, understanding, not every kid's going to be a 5-star, 4-star that you're getting recruited in. You're going to have some guys that, aren't going to be the most talented kids, and the way that he can understand how to reach those certain kids to make them feel like they're something of this team. And, once you feel like you're something of this team, you're going to bring along a little extra, and you're going to do more for the team because you feel more part of the team. And, I mean, now that he has 4 and 5 stars, I mean, that dude understands how to work a roster for sure.
4 and 5 stars in concert with players that he's developed over the last few years that are now ready to be in this culture, and then third, transfers that are coming in that maybe didn't all get outrageously touted, but the transfer portal is an extraordinarily inefficiently ranked market by the media. There are a lot of guys that are in the portal because they didn't play, and then this opportunity is going to be a place where the fit is better and people get a great reflection of what that player can do. An example I always think to is even at the highest level for Alabama when they got Jahmyr Gibbs from Georgia Tech, there wasn't anybody out there saying like, oh my God, Alabama hit the jackpot with Jahmyr Gibbs. No one was saying Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the starter at Alabama. Also, Jamison Williams from Ohio State. Even though those were 2 high-profile names, no one was out there saying, wow, Alabama got the steal of the portal at wide receiver. People really see where a guy maybe wasn't the right fit in one place and then got to figure something else out at their new home after the season starts. So
right, exactly.
You mentioned some names now, but we're going to get an idea for what Texas Tech's transfer additions were like once Evelyn Christian comes to town, and then when you guys go to Washington State, you get a revenge game for one of those transfers who's going to get to go and demonstrate some of his capabilities. Last 2 questions, 2 totally different ones. One that I just didn't get to ask earlier, favorite Bible verse?
I'd say Colossians 3:2-3. Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite one.
Why? What makes that connected?
I actually played on a baseball team in Midland, so we actually moved to Midland, Texas, and I played on a baseball team. We were Colossians 3:2-3, and one of my buddies, his dad was the coach on the team, and he was a pastor, and that was some of the funnest times, being on part of that team and just being able to, praise God while you're playing the game you love. And so, that's probably my favorite Bible verse for sure.
Is that something that you really stick with? Is that I want to make sure that my play on the field is the best expression of my faith?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I think that's hands down. I try to play the game the right way, and I feel like if you play the game the right way, the game's going to treat you the right way back. And so, I'm a firm believer the way that you live life too. You live a good lifestyle, and you understand, the ins and outs of, being a religious band, the game is going to treat you back the right way too.
Do you have a memory on the field of when you just felt most connected to your faith on the field?
Yeah, it's a funny story. It clicked right in my head as soon as you said it. We were playing Kansas, ranked 16th last year on the road. Mahomes is there. We played good in the first half. We don't play great in the second half. We're down 2. We're down 2, and there's 56 seconds left. And me and Caleb Rogers, one of my old linemen, we sat down. I prayed together for us, and I said, we're going to go win this game. And as soon as we went out there, we had like 4 or 5 explosive pass plays. I threw the ball to Jerron Bradley on the sideline with about 10 seconds left. He catches the ball, gets out of bounds. They go out there and kick the game-winning field goal. We make the field goal, we win. And it was just like, man, like, what you say, the prayer and stuff like that. The way you're living life the right way. God's going to take care of you, so just live it the right way.
And He did.
He did.
At that time. Can't believe I wasn't going to ask this question the whole podcast, but now you laid it up for me to remember. You have one of the best quarterbacks of all time that played quarterback at your school. You have the best quarterback in the NFL right now, played quarterback at Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes. How much have you been able to interact with him?
Yeah, he has also been awesome. The Adidas partnership is 100% from him. And I'm actually worked with his quarterback trainer, Jeff Christensen, worked with him a lot this last year. Seen some of his strength guys that he works for, mobility and stuff like that. Actually was going to go see him during the spring, but had some shoulder injury stuff that I had to deal with. But I have his phone number. We get to text back and forth if I ever need him, stuff like that. And then obviously he's making our uniform too. He has his own personal logo on one of the Adidas uniforms that we had that we're going to reveal later throughout the year. And so, just for him to be still a part of Texas Tech and the things that he's doing for us is, you don't see a lot of pro guys doing that for their college back where they're from. And so, he loves Texas Tech, and, Coach Kitley was obviously part of the staff when he was here. And so, Coach McGuire loves him too. We love when he comes back to Lubbock.
What's the best piece of advice, or the number one thing you've learned from him? It's a pretty amazing thing to have Patrick Mahomes' number on your phone.
Yeah, it's actually honestly coming from my AC. He's dealt with the AC, the same thing. His first year, I believe they were playing Kansas State, and he went down AC, played through the whole season with the AC that was just like this. So he's actually, him and Coach Kingsbury also had the same injury. Actually really funny. He played quarterback at Tech too, Coach Kingsbury. And just to get some insight of just like how to prepare and take care of your body. He's been great with that.
That's incredible to have that mentorship. You know what game is the Patrick Mahomes jersey game? Those are supposed to be awesome.
Somewhere around like the 3rd or 4th conference game, around there.
All right, so I'm gonna be on the lookout for the Mahomes jerseys.
No, they look really good. They look really good.
And it says, the first, actually says not a lot of people have done it. It's like the first time anyone's ever done anything like this, put their logo on the field, been a part of the sponsorship themselves. Which can lead to the kind of final question, which is the easiest one maybe you'll answer all day. If you were to manifest your perfect season for this year, what does it look like?
Man, to win each game this year, go undefeated obviously, and go the Big 12, win the Big 12, and then host a playoff game back to the Jones to get any team that's going to be in that college football playoff to come back and get a good dose of Lubbock, Texas, because I know once we host a college football playoff game here, the Jones is going to be rocking, and there's going to be tortillas flying, and there's going to be a lot of excitement in the Jones. And so to get the opportunity to come back to Lubbock and host a playoff game, that's what we're shooting for.
And maybe you get to see Texas in that process.
Yes, sir.
Get a rematch. Sure. It's been absolutely awesome having you on, and I can't wait to follow your season this year. I think it's going to be something special.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been great.